to build Africa.
What truth is there in saying, for example, that you're there to see Uganda through an oil boom?
First of all, oil has just come now. When we were fighting, we didn't know there was oil in the ground. And even when we were in the government, at the beginning, we got some indications, and we started building the capacity to look for that oil. But even if we are not found the oil, the transformation of Uganda would continue. So oil is just for 2 years, just chance. It cannot be. It could not have been part of our calculation. Our calculation was to build Uganda using whatever resources that were available, and there are resources which are more important than oil in Uganda. The human resources, the most important, more important than oil, because that is also part of the confusion of some of your questions. Why do you think oil is more important than the human beings? Japan doesn't have oil, but it is richer than these oil sheikdoms. Why? The human resource is the most important. There are a lot of ideological confusions in some of your questions, obviously. So why do you get fixation on oil and all this? We are not in that crowd of people.
Let's move on to an issue that has raised an international outcry as well, the anti-homosexuality bill. What will happen to that after the elections? Is it going to continue? Will it be passed into law?
We are trying to discuss with our people, because these are all provocations from some of the groups outside. The African people have their own history and culture. Africans regard homosexuality as not normal, as a deviation from normal. Now, the Europeans say homosexuals are an alternative way of life. Now, we have not met to discuss all this. I have not been called to any conference, international conference, to discuss this question. But you can see where the potential conflict is. Okay, so in your own country, America or wherever, you are convinced that the way you think is the right way. Then there's some other group of people, some Africans, those people with a dark color, you must have heard about them. They believe that this is not a normal way of life. So homosexuals here will not be persecuted. But for those groups who come and provoke our people, they should also restrain themselves. Our philosophy here is live and let live. Don't provoke.
Mr. President, let's talk about Somalia. You have 8,000 troops in Somalia, or nearly 8,000 troops in Somalia. This was supposed to be a Pan-African peacekeeping initiative under the AU. So far, it's only your forces and only Burundi who are inside Somalia. Do you feel that you've been left holding the candle by the rest of African countries?
Well, that's not new. That's not new, because that is the history of the resistance in Africa. If I get an umbrella blessing from the whole of Africa, because they have passed the resolutions, say Africa should go there, should come in. Even if they don't come, because they have given the blessing, those who feel strong enough about it should come and help. That's what happened with the liberation of Southern Africa. That's what happened with the defeat of Idi Amin here. Everybody was condemning Idi Amin, but few did anything. But Tanzania took the lead, and we moved. In the case of genocide in Rwanda, Uganda took the lead. And that's how we, working with the RPF, the Rwanda political organization, That's how the genocide was stopped. So there's nothing new in that. Blessing by the whole of Africa, but actual action by some few. That's good enough for me.
Now, your forces in Somalia have been variously accused of shelling civilian areas, particularly the Bakara market, where they have easily killed hundreds, if not thousands. Are you aware of this?
Why would anybody who is not a criminal share an adversary? Because we are belligerents, we are at war now. Started by those Al-Shabaab, they're the ones who attacked us. For us, we went there on an African mission. We don't have a border with Somalia. We don't have any interest in Somalia. The only interest we have is a Pan-African interest. Africa wanted a force and we provided it. We are there on the African mission and these people fire at us. Fire at us, attack us. Now, when they fire, we locate where they are firing from. If it is true that there are civilians in the sites where they share from, so who is the criminal now?
Mr. President, I hope you're not justifying the killing of civilians by your forces in Somalia.
No. I'm not justifying the killing of civilians. But why should a belligerent, if the civilians are there, fire from a populated area? In many of these places, there are no civilians. They have run away.
But the Bakara market, where most of the people of Mogadishu get their foodstuff, has been attacked dozens of times by your forces.
Does somebody fire from there?
They might. They're your enemies.
That one I have to study. If they are firing from a populated area, which our people know to be populated, and then they respond, that one I would object to.
Some say that by taking your forces to Somalia, you are serving errands. You're running errands for outside forces, foreign forces who do not want an Islamist state to be established in Somalia.
When did Islamic extremism become part of the African heritage? I am on an African program. The Somali government broke up many years ago. The state collapsed. Now, people living in a collapsed state for so long is really a form of genocide. If these groups are really patriots, why don't they cooperate with the region, have a transitional period without disruption, go for elections, and then if they're elected, become the rulers, the leaders of Somalia? Why don't they want a peaceful transition? And how is Middle Eastern extremism part of the African heritage? So who is the agent? Are they not the agents?